Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10 on TV3 with me, Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up within the next 30 minutes, here are the major highlights this evening. Government has set aside a $10 million seed money to boost entrepreneurship and innovation among young people. There's launching the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan in Accra. President Akufo-Addo was confident the initiative will reinvigorate the entrepreneurial spirit of Ghanaians. The President of Switzerland, Doris Leuthard, says there is a regulatory gap in the use of social media. She is therefore suggesting world leaders come together to find ways to regulate social media use for effective governance. The Ministry of Education has asked the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, not to withdraw their services due to inability of government to form councils for tertiary institutions. It has therefore tasked UTAG to petition the National Council for Tertiary Education on their concerns. Now, the Ghana National Fire Service has warned it will apply sanctions on security officers of the institution who do not ensure proper safety measures. Chief Fire Officer noted in its latest fire safety audit report that most government institutions do not have appropriate fire safety measures, and out of about 90% media houses have no fire hydrants in place. Now, some law graduates have failed to stop the General Legal Council from administering the entrance examination and interviews for admission into the Ghana School of Law, Ghana Law School as they call it. TV3's reporter Godfrey Tanam indicated that the application filed by some 11 students was dismissed on the grounds that counsel for the students could not convince the court the exam will cause an irreparable damage to the students. So those are the major stories that have been making headlines today. Time now, though, for the big one. Thank you very much for staying with us. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. The details of our stories now, looking at what's happening somewhere in the Bono region, and a research study by the University of Cape Coast and 2 other institutions show that the operations of Newmont Ahafo Mine has adversely impacted the lives of women in the mining communities. It said since the start of mining in the Esutifi North district of a multinational company, the women had been denied access to potable water, farmlands, and other means of economic livelihood. The Department of Environmental Science of the university carried a study jointly with the Water Research Institute and the Center for Environmental Impact Analysis. This was done in 6 months and funded by WASA communities affected by mining, and organizations are the forefront of raising national awareness on mining issues for protection and community rights. So we earlier spoke with one of the members who undertook this exercise. He's actually a representative of WACAM in the Bono region, and told our sister station 3FM that there are other adverse findings in their report.
Even the boreholes in Manisha, the boreholes in the underneath Chrome, the streams and the water bodies in this particular area, a lot of them are polluted about the heavy metals, which is coming from the mining activities.
No, so, Mr. Yakubu, you are saying that you have done your own tests and you've concluded that these waters and land have been polluted, and the pollution is as a result of the cyanide spilled by Newmont.
It's not only the cyanide spill. It's a concern about the activities where the Newmont operated. So even the groundwater where we pump our borehole from is polluted by the heavy metals, which one heavy metal is cyanide. So Newmont are using that heavy metal. And differently, all the heavy metals, they are established in our water bodies, is generated by the Newmont activity.
All right, so that is the voice of Edusa Yakubu. He is a representative of WACAM, and they have raised this concern. And not just that, but they are also saying that there is a possibility of some hard metals or chemicals in the waters in and around these communities and also their lands, because the residents that they interviewed, some told them that they are unable to eat the produce from their farmlands and also use the water that flows in and around the community. All the blame is being laid at the doorstep of Newmont Ahafo-Mine. And we've been joined by Agbeko Azuma. He is the Communications Director for External Relations for Newmont Ahafo-Mine. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening.
To start with, are you aware of these complaints coming in from residents in and around the Ahafo-Mine saying that there is a possibility of contamination in their water and land due to the activities of Newmont?
So, thanks very much for the opportunity. Let me first of all start with a statement that we are very much committed to promoting the health and welfare of our communities. So anything that concerns the health and safety of our communities we take seriously. Now, since the reports, I'm saying reports because there were two reports. Since the reports were launched in March or so by WACAM,
right,
we have had copies of the report, and we have commissioned independent assessors to review the reports. Now, we are waiting for the outcome of the work by the independent assessors, and we'll make the findings public.
So as it stands...
Having said that, we are working within the terms of an environmental impact statement, and that is what binds us to the state of Ghana. It is on the basis of that we are evaluated, or our performance, environmental performance, is evaluated by the Environmental Protection Agency as well as other regulators. So we are enjoined to provide periodic reports or monitoring reports. So there are certain parameters that we take daily, some of them weekly, some of them monthly, some quarterly. All these reports we send to the EPA.
So before you land, the reports that you've been gathering from your researchers, because you say you have weekly, monthly, and quarterly reports, yes. All these reports that you get, did any of it mention issues of contamination of water bodies and probable lands?
No, none of them.
So
none of them gave us that indication that they reported by those two reports.
And what was the focus of your research team when they go out? What was it they were looking out for?
No, we did not carry out a research. What I said was that under the terms of our environmental impact statement, we are supposed to be carrying out monitoring. So what we do, all kinds of monitoring. I gave you examples of the kinds of monitoring that we do, and some of them are daily, some of them are weekly, some of them are monthly, right, quarterly, and in that order. So I'm saying that on the basis of those types of monitoring, or those reports that, or the data that we've collected over the years, we cannot come to that conclusion. And I'm saying also that the EPA, which is mandated to regulate the industry, also does periodic inspections, also reviews these reports, because we are obliged to send them those reports. They have also not come up with those conclusions.
So is it completely alien, this report?
Somebody has carried out a study, and what we are saying is that the findings of those reports are being subjected to further review by independent assessors commissioned by us. So when we are done with those, when they are done with their reviews, we'll make the findings public.
Okay. But on your daily activities and interaction with persons living in and around your mines, have you had concerns or complaints about oily substances on the surface of the water that they use and the fact that there is a possibility of some contamination of their lands? Because according to the report and portions of it, some of the residents they spoke to, and also this has been corroborated by our correspondent there, that some of the residents have complained of skin rashes, skin diseases, and the fact that it is likely to have been from contamination, probably cyanide and other hard metal in the water they use. Have you had any of these complaints yourself?
We haven't had those complaints ourselves. And I'll say it again, that we will not speak to the details of the report till we are done with the independent reviews that we've commissioned. At that point, we'll come up with details and respond to each and every one of the issues that they've raised in those reports.
Does that mean that this report from WACAM is completely alien to your activities, as in there seem not to be any corroboration at all until your officers also come out with their review and research?
Somebody has carried out a research and has made his findings. What we need to do is to subject the persons or the entity's research to further analysis. And when we are done with that, we'll make the outcome of that analysis public. And that's all we are saying. So, because very serious allegations have been made, and we are not taking the issues lightly.
Okay.
We're treating it with all the seriousness it deserves. And that's how come we are, we've taken the steps we've taken so far to commission that independent review of the
all right,
so
what timelines are we looking at so we can at least, look at both reports to see where there are similarities and where there are differences?
I will not be able to tell you how soon we are going to put out that report, but when it's ready, we'll let you know. It's actually in our interest to put this thing out for
no, but if you put together a report, at least there's a time frame they can work within, maybe a month or 2 weeks or maybe 3 months. What timelines did you give the group you put together, or there is none?
What we've said is we need an outcome. We need an outcome of their review. And when that is done, we'll put it out. It took the researchers of the WACAM report, I think, for about 6 months to put together that report.
The report.
So if we are also taking the time, because it's a comprehensive review that we want.
Okay.
So if it's comprehensive, we expect that the results or the findings that will come out will be such that it will be incontrovertible and verifiable, because it's a scientific community we are working in, and we must make sure that you cross your T's and dot all your I's.
Thank you so much for making time to speak with us. I will keep an eye on this story and certainly keep our viewers posted as well. We've been speaking with Agbeko Azuma. He is Communications and External Relations Manager for Newmont Ghana Ahafo Mines. This is still News at 10 on TV3. We'll be back shortly with more. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with TV3. This is still News at 10, and we shift to our next story that has to do with issues of migration. And Ghana's embassy in Saudi Arabia is processing 800 illegal Ghanaian migrants there for deportation following the expiration of an amnesty granted these illegal residents to leave or be sanctioned. According to the Foreign Affairs Minister, Madam Shirley Ayorkor-Botchwey, government is subsidizing the traveling cost of these individuals.
Most of the employment contracts under which Ghanaian nationals are engaged are made privately, and the embassy is not privy to their terms. Secondly, it is physically impossible for the embassy to identify the places where all the Ghanaians suffering abuses may reside. Hence, it is only able to assist when alerted by other Africans or Ghanaian settlers, including taxi drivers. In some cases where the abused employees manage to escape, the embassy provides them with shelter at the chancery and, where necessary, also arranges medical treatment for them. The mission also works through benevolent individuals and religious organizations to see to the welfare of such persons. In the case of Kuwait, it is reported that the authorities are not cooperative when it comes to granting visas for embassy officials following the recent granting by Saudi Arabia of a 3-month amnesty for illegal immigrants, which has now been extended to 24th of July 2017. The Riyadh mission has already processed over 800 Ghanaians for departure.
So that's Madam Shirley Ayorkor-Botchwey addressing the House of Parliament earlier today. We've been joined in the studio by Mohammed Haruna. He is the Executive Director of Returnees Diaspora Integrated Development Organization, RIDIO. And we'd want to put a few questions to him and ask, how else can government help these persons, these over 800 Ghanaians in and around Saudi who are likely to be deported anytime soon? Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for
what kind of assistance can government give in this regard, apart from the ones outlined by the minister? Issues of accommodation and shelter, and then the fact that they need to be sure these are even Ghanaians to be brought into Ghana. What else can government do?
Government has a lot to do, but it cannot do it alone, so it has to partner with civil society. And basically, what has to be done is to try to facilitate their return and their reintegration into their households and families. So what we can do specifically together with government is to engage them, talk them, conscientize them about the need for them to just accept the situation and come and live with us. All is not lost, and we can still work together to get a better outcome for us in this country.
Is there the willingness of these persons wanting to come home? Because it is looking as if the grace period they were giving has expired and still they are living there. Why do you think they may still want to live there? For which reason they may have to be forced out?
The problem basically is the reasons why they left this country. They left this country in search for better outcomes of life that life can offer. So if they don't have any convincing message to the effect that the people in this country, be it government, be it the community, be it their households and their families, are willing to accept the situation and work together with them to build something back home here, there wouldn't be any zeal to come back. And just look at it. Somebody gets up from Ghana, then he moves outside to Saudi Arabia to work. He goes with a promise of bringing something back home. If he's coming back home in that state, it's psychologically almost impossible to get that person to accept to come. But if the person has gotten an assistance in terms of psychosocial support, that feeling of belonging to a country called Ghana and that feeling of belonging to a community in Ghana, the person will be willing to come home. And you can see those of us who are here, not all is lost. We are doing the best we can, but though we could do more. Looking
at the fact that this is not the first time we are going to be recording issues of deportation, and even this year we've had about 3 or so different deportations from other countries. Are we doing enough to reintegrate these people into society? Do we have a good setup welcoming enough for them?
Policy-wise and then legislatively, we do. We do have a good setup for them. If you look at the country's migration policies, it clearly spells out the agency's responsibility in facilitating the return and readmission of these people. However, government hasn't had enough funding that is required to put the manpower behind this process. And this process also requires the help of the community, and the community has not yet accepted the concept of return. So that is the main challenge.
It is a community. Who or which group are you referring to? Is it the family or the society at large, or Ghanaians in general?
The family and the society at large. Once such a person comes home, instead of helping the person, demands are being put on the person. That is one.
They actually even laugh at them sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I was coming into, that stigmatization of a failure. You've gone and then you didn't get anything. And when the person comes back, the stability of those the person has left behind, they are able to get married, they have had a house, they have had a stable job, and they're okay. The person coming to restart over, if the person doesn't get the help that is required. The other problem is that the issue is a new issue, because migrant return, as we know it today, wasn't the same way just in the near past. So most governments have not really gotten the grip of the issue. And migrants themselves don't trust their governments, because they believe that based on the diplomatic relation that exists between their governments and the governments of their hosts, they don't trust that their government can protect them. So they think when the government sees them, the first thing will be repatriation in that way. So they trust more of civil society than government. So we've been making efforts towards engaging the government through the Foreign Ministry.
And how has that engagement gone so far?
It's been difficult. It could have been better, but we're so grateful for the fact that they give us ear, and we're so following to make sure that we can collectively put our hands on it to make sure that our citizens are represented well.
Are there any dangers that these migrants pose to their host communities, as in family, society, and Ghana at large?
Like
when they return?
Yeah, there is, unless if we don't provide the help, because when they go out there, they get in contact with so many people that can lead to importation of certain grievances that can explode at a point in time. Especially we know the atmosphere within the Gulf region with respect to terrorism and extremism. And these things thrive because people feel like society have failed them and nobody's looking after them. So if we don't find a way to reconscientize them and remove the sociologically back to how they were thinking when they left, and if they don't come and see a certain community drifting towards them, they may malign themselves and get carried on with extremist ideology to try and determine the future of their lives. So
as it stands now, with a specific focus on these 800 people coming into the country, what should government do right now as they try to finalize the paperwork and the documentation? At home, what should be the plan?
At home, what should be the plan is for us to get the information, contact their families, inform their families, and we get a good welcome for them. When we welcome them, then we put them through a transition period where we talk to them, we socialize with them, for them to know that Ghana loves them, irrespective of the state in which they are coming from. If we can do that, at least it would go a long way towards reassuring them that they still have a community behind them.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Mohammed Haruna is the Executive Director of Returnees Diaspora Integrated Development Organization, Radio. Thank you for making time to speak with us. This is still News at 10 on TV3. And before we wrap up, though, some very good news coming in for TV3. Now, TV3's Current Affairs business program, Business Focus, has won Ghana's Startup Award 2017 for inspiring businesses and entrepreneurship. The Mover segment on Business Focus and Time with the Captains were designed to encourage startups.
Those of you in business know how expensive it is to advertise, but these ones give their platform free. We celebrate TV3 for providing engaging educational content for young people to be inspired and updated with current affairs in business and entrepreneurship. Through your programs such as Business Focus, Meet the Captains, and other business-focused initiatives. To TV3 Business, we say, Ayiko.
Congratulations, TV3 Business. Thank you for supporting the startup ecosystem in Ghana. Congratulations. Can we do it better for TV3 Business? Thank you so much.
Congratulations to the team, and we always aim to serve you better, and we promise to deliver on that. So thank you very much for staying with us throughout these years, and also to the business-focused team and the entire newsroom, and everybody else here at TV3, from drivers to management, right through to every single person. Thank you. All right, before we go though, some very unfortunate developments happened earlier today around La Paz, where 2 suspected armed robbers reportedly shot a policeman in broad daylight at Abeka La Paz in Accra Thursday afternoon. The incident occurred at the popular Las Palmas restaurant along the George Walker Bush Highway.
According to reports, the robbers, who were on motorbikes, shot the policeman 3 times in a scene eyewitnesses likened to an action movie. The masked robbers, armed with locally manufactured guns, reportedly opened fire, bringing activities at the very busy area to a halt. The policeman, an eyewitness said, was part of a team chasing the robbers. The armed robbers reportedly abandoned their motorbikes and snatched an Ash Hyundai Sonata in the full glare of the public. The eyewitness said the armed robbers, after the operation, headed towards Kaswa in the central region. Meanwhile, the injured policeman was rushed to the hospital by some bystanders.
Well, information we've gathered indicate that one of the robbers is currently in the grips of the police. We'll keep you posted on this development in our subsequent bulletins. Thank you very much for watching News 10. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. You have a good evening. Good night.